Ladies and gentlemen of the House, George Washington was born on February 22nd, 1732, 291 years ago today, in the colony of Virginia. Washington finished his education in his early teens and showed an aptitude for mathematics. He became a very successful surveyor, and his surveying expeditions took him into the Virginia wilderness and earned him enough money to acquire his own land. In 1752, after the death of his brother Lawrence, Washington inherited his estate, Mount Vernon, which is on the Potomac River near Alexandria, Virginia, a place now toured and loved by people all across the world. In December 1752, Washington, who had no previous military experience, was made commander of the Virginia militia. By 1759, Washington had resigned his commission, returned to Mount Vernon, and was elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses, where he served until 1774. By the late 1760s, Washington had experienced firsthand the effects of rising taxes imposed on American colonists by the British, and had come to believe that it was in the best interest of the colonists to declare independence from England. Washington served as a delegate to the First Continental Congress in 1774 in Philadelphia. By the time the Second Continental Congress convened a year later, the American Revolution had begun in earnest, and Washington was named Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. Over the course of the grueling 8-year war, the colonial forces won few battles, but consistently held their own against the British. In October of 1781, with the aid of the French, the Continental forces were able to capture British troops and the Battle of Yorktown. This action effectively ended the Revolutionary War, and Washington was declared a national hero. Even though Washington wanted to retire back to his quiet life as a farmer and a family man, in 1787 he was asked to attend the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia and head the committee to draft a new constitution. His impressive leadership there convinced the delegates that he was by far the most qualified man to become the nation's first president. The United States was a small nation when Washington took office, consisting of 11 states and approximately 4 million people. And there was no precedent for how a new president should conduct domestic or foreign business. Mindful that his actions would likely determine how future presidents were expected to govern, Washington worked hard to set an example of fairness, prudence, and integrity. In foreign matters, he supported cordial relations with other countries, but also favored a position of neutrality in foreign conflicts. Domestically, he nominated the first Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, John Jay, signed a bill establishing the First National Bank, the Bank of the United States, and set up his own presidential cabinet. After declining to serve a third term, Washington retired to Mount Vernon, where he would pass away in his home in 1799. Washington left one of the most enduring legacies of any American in history. Known as the father of his country, his face appears on the U.S. dollar bill, the quarter, dozens of U.S. schools, towns, and counties, as well as the state of Washington and the nation's capital city are named for him. Mr. Speaker, may we take a moment of silence today to honor our nation's first president who led us through the Revolutionary War and the birth of our nation, George Washington.